Okay, Kevin Dye Painting up here in beautiful Dorrington. There's a little bit of your May snow. The last 2 days it's actually kind of warmed up a little bit and we're melting it all off. So what I basically do with this camera is I kind of walk the property, show you what I see, show you what our job would entail and so forth. And give you an idea, let you kind of explain what we're doing in the process and let you see how we do things. So obviously the Trex here would have to be we'd have to keep an eye on the Trex. Oil-based stains and Trex do not always get along. So initially we'd come in and we would pull all the lights off the building, any knickknacks, anything, like the numbers and so forth down here, and then we would pressure wash. Now so far, granted I've only been on one side, I don't see a whole lot of damage area from like the black mold. I got a little bit up here, you can tell it right there. That stuff is easy. Another neighbor we've painted. That stuff is easy to remove, and my goal is to remove as much as possible, and I usually get pretty close on removing all. You can take a look at 701 Yurok, which is the big stain one on the left down on Yurok. We did that 2 years ago and it was black. It was a lot of problem, but we managed to get about 100% of it gone. So okay, in here, good netting or you will have a lot of bats. Okay, so this door, whoops, looks just absolutely gorgeous. I don't know if we would need to do anything to that door, truthfully. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'd most likely, if I did anything, I'd just put a light coat, a spar varnish, just for longevity, just to keep it going. But it's gorgeous. It looks as if it was new, so it's really nice. Again, knickknacks off, pressure wash the building. We use a bleach solution so as to remove anything. We're very careful with how much bleach we use. We do not want to actually bleach the wood out to the point where it doesn't look the same. It's kind of an art of doing it. It's not a big deal. It's not hard. Now if this is your guys' propane tank, I can stain that in as well. Oh, big side. Okay. So, same thing. We basically get in. We just I don't see any woodpecker stuff yet, so that's really good. Stain. We have to clean everything. It has to be pressure washed properly. We got to make sure, and then we come in with a stain. I use two types of stain. I use Super Deck, which is a Duxpax product. It's oil based only, or I use Armstrong, which is a little more high end and I think far better of a product. So that would be something we discuss on the next. It is pretty much the same cost for the staining, no matter what colors we go to. I would not suggest trying to go much darker. It's a beautiful house now. We don't want to get to the point where we're just so dark it looks brown. Okay, so here is some of the black areas that we would remove. Like right here as well, I dig that dirt away from the building. We call it trenching. But that's a bad thing to have because it leaches into the wood. So right here as well, we actually dig that stuff back. And masking of windows properly, no stain on windows, no stain on the frames, nothing. This door would be pressure washed and then painted, and we can do a matching color. Just the same way we're going to do with the trim. All the trim and fascia and gutters are painted in a certain way, and we do the same thing. Basically what that is too, for us, we use Kelly-Moore. We use the best paints that Kelly-Moore makes. So that's kind of where we're coming from with any of the paint. I would suggest we also see, if we do paint it, what I'll do is I'll pick up Ace, I'll pick up a 90 degree to get that away from the house a little bit too. Because you can tell you're getting water damage on the wood. The whole idea of this whole thing, it's expensive to do, it's just longevity. We want the longevity of knowing you've got 10 to 12 years, you don't have to do anything. This is a big house though. This is a beautiful house actually. So again, look at the damage that's doing. I can see if we can find the little 90 degrees or the whatever they might be, 45 degree, and then paint them into that color. I like how they did this trim here. Obviously I can't see up on top of the deck, but underneath, so we have Trex And then underneath, unlike say this one, we could probably just spray underneath, but many times this looks like a pressure treat, so we probably don't need to stain this. We'd only consider staining that. Now don't get me wrong, pressure treat is great and we do stain it, but it is kind of expensive to have somebody come and do all the stain work. So if it doesn't need to be stained, I would suggest that you save your money and save our time, unless you just want it stained, and we can. So again, those joists right there, they also appear to be pressure treated, so I'm not sure if I would even do those. Now what we could do is these supports and lambs on the outside, we could try to stain those, because already you have the railing right here and that is stained, so we could try to stain those to try to bring it in a little bit as well. But that's that wouldn't be that big of a deal. But getting up underneath and doing every one of those, it does get time consuming, and that does take a lot of material. When it comes to staining for my trade, it does get rather expensive when you get into all the joist work and underneath. And decks do have, you know, you have to be extremely careful. They have to be plastic and then a red rosin paper. You have to be extremely careful, because Trex has just this weird way that you could take a dot, a little drop of stain, and drop it on Trex, and it expands and it never really goes away. So we are very adamant about making sure that we do not get stain anywhere but the house. Okay, deck number 3 here. Trex again. What I would do though, when we pressure wash, I'd clean these decks off for you, just because we're already here. Door painted, again, pretty much your standard restain. Now these stringers right here, another door up there to be painted obviously as well. These stringers are pressure treat as well. Yeah, good. It's nice to see decks built properly. Okay, so from this I can see that we've got water running down the outside, and you've got a rust on the outside. So basically this has been happening for a while. So what, it has to be blown out. There's somewhere up there that's stuck, and that's why it's leaking there. There you go. So we would handle that when we pressure wash. We could get up there, and if need be, well, we shouldn't have any more storms this year, but when we pressure wash, we'll clean out the gutters. So that's dumping here, which is going to ruin the stain and destroy the wood. So I think we need to address that. Not a big deal though. Again, bleach, we bring that out and return it to the natural color. I would suggest, again, we go with something like a cedar tone, which would still keep some of the red. It would keep some of the natural look, but we wouldn't get far darker. So, same thing in here. The only thing we kind of do differently that I like to do is I like to take the color, like the neutral color of the doors, which is kind of an off-white beige. I sometimes like to paint these into that color so that it kind of has a really nice appearance and we get rid of the grayness. But that's just usually, we don't charge extra for that. That's just for us. It's kind of like one of our calling cards when you see our work, that we actually we do a lot of stuff like that because you can tell the detail, and we are a detail-based company. This job would take roughly a week. This is a big house. It does have a lot of work that needs to be done stain-wise, and yeah, this is a big house, so it'd take us about a week, maybe a little over. You know, we'd have to take a look. I have some time, like I spoke and said, in the end of July, so we can kind of go from there. Now you notice through here you've got all the black stuff all through the bottom. Again, it's just cedar burn and splashback, and it's just sun, it's just the water getting in there, so that would be removed as well. The whole idea is to appear that the building was dipped. We want it to actually have like the appearance that the property was dipped, that it was, you know, built like this 2 weeks ago, brand spanking new. I forgot to mention too, we drop everything with huge drop cloths, and all these rocks, not one bit of stain on any of them. So that's a major thing too. I see these houses and they have stain dripping on the rocks. It's unacceptable. Color on the trim would match. Color on the doors we can match. And everything else pretty much is cut and dry. So I will go ahead and write this up. And I also send over a couple addresses as well, right on Yurok, of work that we've done that is almost exactly like this one. Big old stained houses. So thank you very much, and we'll talk soon.